This is Perspective Shift, Episode 4, Obstacles, Setbacks, and Blocks, and I'm your host, April Rodriguez. Thank you so much for tuning in again this week. I hope everyone's had a great week. I just wanted to share where my thoughts were this week. With Mercury retrograde, daylight savings, the whole Instagram, Facebook crash of 2019 this past Wednesday, and just a general uneasiness I felt this week, obstacles and dealing with them have been on my mind. April in her 20s, and by April I mean myself, April in her early 20s probably would have had a complete meltdown after this week. Shoot, April a year ago probably wouldn't be much different, but I'm just kidding, that's not true. Because the more I deal with setbacks, the better I get at handling them. For instance, this Wednesday when Instagram went down, I was trying to post a few new posts and things that I'd made and the tattoo I'd done for Anthony. After logging out and then deleting the app and then reinstalling it and realizing I had just locked myself out of the app entirely, I realized that I was pushing up against a wall. I wasn't going with the flow, and I was only frustrating myself. I decided instead to find a better use for my time than cursing at my phone telling it to work. Once I made the commitment to enjoy the time away from Instagram, I actually was productive. I finished a collage I had been wanting to work on, and I prepped the next mandala that I'm going to do. It's taken me a few years to get to a point where I can face these kind of obstacles and not let them ruin my entire day, but it wasn't always so easy to shake off the setbacks. Later in the week, I faced a different kind of obstacle or block. I started to feel a little uneasy or a little off or anxious, maybe even a little depressed. Anxiety can feel like a setback because it can show up when you least expect it. It's not like I was feeling that way due to anything that happened particularly or anything I'm expecting. I just generally felt a little bummed. And I dealt with waves like this since I was a teen. A lot of my 20s, in fact, was spent trying to understand the feelings I was having and kind of controlling them. And my 30s have been spent detaching myself from those feelings. For example, this week, instead of spending hours in my bed crying or laying scrolling through Instagram, seeing all of these amazing projects people are finishing while I'm laying doing nothing, I actually got up and started working on projects. Granted, not everything I worked on came out great, but I felt good because I finished them. The malaise didn't go away, but the feeling wasn't nearly as strong as I used to let it get. It almost feels like when I was younger that the feeling was a bully, and now it's more like just someone I have to work with. I don't let the feelings boss me around or dictate my day, but I do acknowledge that they exist, and I give myself some space to be human and to feel a little bummed out. I treat myself similar to when I have a cold, like a cough. I give myself the opportunity to do a little bit of work for the workaholic in me, but for the most part I try to rest or fill myself up with good things. For me, the best help is moving around doing things. Hikes and bike rides are always the best for me. They make me feel free and connected to the earth again, and I even feel skinnier, even if I'm really not. And on top of that, I just like to do little nice things for myself, watch movies that I know will make me feel good. For me, creativity has always been the best outlet, though. Making things that help get those feelings out or that express them in a way that feels satisfying or makes you feel heard. So if we shift our perspective about anxiety and depression, it can help us to live with it. So knowing how to work with it and knowing that when it comes that we don't necessarily have to attach our personal lives or personal feelings to it as well. That sometimes waves of emotion hit us and they're not necessarily meant to stay with us. They're not ours to keep. Maybe we do have to acknowledge that they exist and that they're there, but we don't have to let them stop us from what we want to do and what we can do. So obstacles, setbacks, and blocks can make us frantic. They give us anxiety because we expect things to go a certain way, and when they don't, we see it as a personal attack. But disruptions don't have to upset us. These obstacles are just asking us to use our logic and resources to find a way that's better for us. If you find yourself being set back for some reason, it's just a redirection. There's another path meant for you, and this is a gentle nudge in that other way. Even a setback like feeling anxiety or depression can force us to spend a little bit of time working on ourselves or giving ourselves some much needed attention. So the next time you find yourself up against a wall or facing a setback, try to find the message in it. What else are you not seeing yet? What part of the bigger picture isn't there? And then it'll help you to work through that difficult time. and move past the obstacle and go with the flow. So moving on to my astrology forecast. So one of the big transits this week is the sun is moving into Aries on March 20th at 5:58 p.m. So this is a big deal because not only is it the beginning of a new season, but it's also the beginning of the astrological year and the first day of spring, which is super cool. Since the sun is moving into Aries, and Aries is that fiery, the starter, they have that go, go, go energy. They don't want to be stopped. They have all these ideas, and they probably leave a trail of dirty clothes behind them because they don't want to look back. With that in mind, and the fact that it is the beginning of spring, you might find yourself a little anxious, a little impatient, wanting to go, wanting to start new ideas, all of these things blossoming and blooming in your head. You may be bold and unapologetically you. You might be a little more adventurous. Aries season also offers us a time for a fresh slate. It's a brand new start, the beginning of the astrological year, the beginning of spring when everything's blossoming. It's to remind you that everybody deserves a fresh start and can get one if they really try. So that's where the sun will be. Moving on to the moon. The moon has a lot of movement this week, not to mention a full moon in the middle of the week. Early Sunday morning, the moon moves into Leo. The Leo moon helps us close off the Pisces season. With us being already on the cusp of Pisces and Aries, we might be feeling a little tumultuous. Definitely feeling. Leo adds a little more spark to the mix, though. Leo craves attention, creativity, and all things grandiose. You might find yourself facing emotional outbursts with a strong need for attention. Just remember, there's nothing wrong with feeling these feelings, but it is important to find a healthy, productive outlet for them. For me, creativity has always been a great way to let emotions flow in a way that also releases them. The Leo moon encourages you to be bold, to be totally yourself, and just enjoy being you. So from Sunday to Tuesday morning, you might find yourself wanting to get a little more attention, be around friends, and show off a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. Early Tuesday, the moon transits into Virgo. In the Virgo moon, you might find yourself focusing more on the details of your life. It's a good time for ironing out details. There's an urge for practical activities and setting things right, which is great because Wednesday, the sun will be moving into Aries when you want to start all the new projects. This Virgo moon will definitely encourage closure and wrapping up anything you might be working on or a phase of your life that you're ready to close the chapter to. This is the time for sorting through and making repairs and getting ready for the big things that are to come. And then early Thursday morning, there will be a full moon in Libra. And a full moon in Libra shows a time for reflecting on what you're able to manifest since the new moon in Pisces earlier this month. Libra also asks us to reflect on the imbalances in our life and how we can bring things back to balance. Since Libra is a lover of love and a romantic, it might have us reflecting on the relationships in our life. The full moon in Libra does favor reflecting on your relationships, romantically specifically, and seeing what grudges or hurts are being held on to so they can be aired out and let go of. With us newly in Aries season, it may start as a fight, but luckily the full moon is in diplomatic Libra, bringing some balance to the fight. Aries might also have you being impatient and wanting to just dump the relationship and move on. But remember that there are probably good things in the relationship, and it's at least worth trying to repair first before letting go. If things can't be worked out and you still are feeling like you're not being treated fairly, then it's definitely time to leave and find something better for you. And then lastly, this week, the moon will move into Scorpio early Saturday morning. Moon in Scorpio will have us feeling intense. You'll feel things on a deeply personal level. It's not a time to deal with superficiality, and it's a kind of a time to uncover the power that's within you. This week for my reading, I picked the Ace of Wands reversed and Justice. So the Ace of Wands upright represents that spark of creativity, that passion, that initiation of ideas, projects. It's that go, go, go energy telling you that opportunities are available to you as long as you try. The arrival of spring brings the sun and warmth back to us along with all the beautiful flowers and new life everywhere, and that's enough to make anyone want to get started on something new themselves. So the Ace of Wands depicts just that, incredible energy for new growth. But when it's reversed, it shows that there's something blocking this energy from realizing its full potential. Whether it be internally, something that you're telling yourself, or you're just not ready, you're not confident enough, or external, there are things that need to be done, or there's something not letting you get to what you need to do. The Justice card is all about truth, fairness, balance. Justice usually shows up when you have an important decision to make that'll have long-term impacts, or when you're being asked to be accountable for your actions. First, the cards seem to be reminding us that with spring coming, it's important to wrap up all our old situations, projects, etc., and begin to prep for the surge of new life that's coming. It's just like spring cleaning. Spring cleaning is meant to clean out all of the dust that's accumulated over winter when you're trapped in your homes because it's too cold to go out, it's too cold to open up the windows. And spring is that time when you open everything up and you let in all the warm air and you get all the dust off and you clean all the things out that you don't need anymore. You put away your winter clothes. The cards seem to be reminding us that that's something we should be doing in all areas of our life, not just our physical home, but in our creative projects. With the full moon in Libra, it seems to be reminding us that we need to do that in our relationships as well. If you're having trouble getting started on something new this coming week, you might want to take a look back first. Whether it be cleaning your room, letting go, or repairing relationships with big imbalances, or clearing negative thoughts from your head, reviewing, repairing, and bringing balance to your life will be important before pursuing any new projects this week. As you've heard, there's a lot going on this week, but just remember that you're amazing and you can handle it all. This week seems to be one of reviewing and prepping, so that way you can make room for all of the amazing things spring has to offer. With Mercury retrograde and a full moon in Libra after moving into Aries, you might find yourself feeling a little impatient, especially having to spend some time reviewing and tying loose ends. But remember that it's an important part of the process, and it helps to set yourself up with a strong, solid foundation. And bringing a proper ending to a part of your life is necessary for that foundation. If you'd like more personalized help, please don't hesitate to send me a DM to schedule an appointment. Remember, I do the spiritual guidance readings for $25. We can do those in person, we can do it on Google Duo, or I can write out a report for you. I'm still doing my stick and poke tattoos. You can find my March flash sheet on my Modest Betty profile. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, even to do a different tattoo, just send me a DM on either Modest Betty or on Young Mystic. I have a tarot workshop coming up at the end of the month on Sunday, March 31st at noon, 12 p.m. It's $10, and this workshop will focus on creating a safe space for your readings. We'll do some journaling, some meditating, and we're going to build a nature altar for our 3-card reading. I bought some small crystals we can use and that you'll be able to take home with you, and some little gold painted feathers, and I'm going to buy us some flowers to add to our nature altar. If you haven't already signed up, please do. I still have some spots available, and it should be a really nice, beautiful event. I'm really looking forward to it. Also, my brother podcast, Echoed Influence, has 2 events coming up. The first one is a Game of Thrones Season 8 premiere party, and that is on Sunday, April 14th from 5 to 8 p.m., and that's at the Collab Incorporated, and the tickets are $15. And with the ticket, you get access to a Game of Thrones style feast, along with a White Walker drink. We will also be doing trivia before the episode starts and giving away prizes for the winners. And then afterwards, we're going to do a discussion of the episode and just talk about it and see what everyone thought and predictions and things like that. So if you're available and you like Game of Thrones, please send us a DM on Echoed Influence. You can message me here on Young Mystic, Modest Betty, or you can message Anthony at 109BC_Spartacus. Spots are limited, so make sure you send us a DM as soon as possible. The second event is game night later that week on Friday, April 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the club as well. And this one is $10 a ticket, but the ticket, if you buy pre-sale, includes pizza, snack, and a drink. It also ensures you a spot in a tournament of your choice. There's Super Smash Bros., Mortal Kombat, and Injustice. You can sign up for 1, 2, or all 3. That event is limited as well, so make sure you send us a DM to reserve your spot. And that's it for me, and I'll see you next week. Bye!